Hey guys, Andrea here with Sunshine and Pixels. I finally got my hands on an unopened Epson Workforce 7720, and I know a couple of you guys have been asking me for a tutorial on how to get it set up. So I thought I would just go through an unboxing with you and we could set it up together. All right, stay tuned. So you see it comes with its own ink. This is the inkjet ink and it is not the sublimation ink. So if you're using this printer for sublimation, you have to get sublimation ink. So you can just toss that. Okay, so once you've got your all your tape off, make sure you look like underneath, the back, pull the back open, lift up or lift out both of these trays because there's tape inside taping all of that. So once you've done all of that and got all the tape out, and then just grab your power cord, open that up. And I'm on the floor because I have two printers. One for my labels and one for sublimation, so I don't have any countertop space, but normally you should probably put this on like a countertop or something. Okay, so let me turn this around so you can see. Okay, so this is going to go right into the little power area right here. Okay, and then just plug it in. And then what you're going to do is just go ahead and turn it on. It's going to do its thing. It's going to start kind of getting set up. And it does take a few minutes, so just be patient. But it'll get set up, and then we can set like the date, and then we'll start putting the ink and everything in there. Power button is right here. This pushes out if that's easier for you, depending upon if you have the machine higher or lower. If it's easier for you to have it there, that's fine. So just turn the power on. Okay, so I turned it on and it's asking me my language. So I'm going to go ahead and select English. It's asking me my country. So I will say USA. Okay, so it's asking me to install the ink cartridges that came with this printer. Close the scanner unit. Initialization begins. Okay, so it's asking me to install the ink that came with the printer. Well, we know that we don't want to do that. If you have a Epson Workforce 7720 that you are converting, you're going to want to clean it out first, clean the ink out, and there are solutions that you can put in the system to do that in order to convert it before you put your sublimation ink in. With this one, I'm using a brand new one, so you don't have to do that. So I have my sublimation ink cartridges. Let me see, and I can just tear them open. These are a friend of mine, so because I already have mine set up. So let me see what she has here. Okay, so it looks like what she got was the COBRA INK 4.3. So with the 4.3, you don't need a color profile. I still use one, but you don't need one. It's supposed to work just fine without a color profile. So just open up all of your inks. I'm using a refillable ink cartridge system. So I'm not using a CISS, which is a continuous ink something system. It's basically where it keeps the ink cartridges full, and there's like a thing that hangs off like the side of the printer, and it just keeps, you know, refilling it. And then you just keep the attachment that's like over here, you keep that filled. But I am not using that. I'm using actual ink cartridges, and then once these are empty, I refill them with the with the ink, with the bottles of ink I just kind of poured in there, which I have a video on how to do that on my YouTube channel as well. So if you want to take a look at how to refill refillable ink cartridges, go to my channel, make sure to subscribe, and you can check that out as well. Okay, so I have all of my ink. This is a four color system. So I have all of my inks out. And so what I'm going to do is there's tape on the sides. Well, it's yellow tape, and I showed you with yellow. Let me try black. There's tape right there. So you're just going to take that tape off. That's the vent. Okay. Don't do this over carpet, y'all. This probably isn't smart. Okay, so as you can see, I took the tape off. This one, you're gonna leave open. This hole right here. And then this one, you're gonna keep that. That's the vent hole, and you're gonna keep that closed. When you go to refill your ink, you are going to take that plug out, and that's where you're going to inject the new ink. But as you can see, these ones, they come already filled, so I don't have to do that. So to install your ink, all you do is move your ink cartridges off the top here. You lift the unit. There's like a little handle on each side. You just lift it. It's gonna kind of do its thing. Okay, so it's gonna kind of go back and forth, and then once it stops, you know that you can lift this little tab here to open up your ink. And then you just pop them in. So they're going to go, okay. So they go with a little knob up toward the top. Now, it actually helps if I put the black in with the black. Lord. Hold on. There we go. So the black in with the black, and just match up your colors. So take the rest of the little tabs of tape off and just finish doing that. And so what it's doing is there's a little hole down here, and it hasn't been punctured yet, so it's puncturing that. Okay, and just make sure that they all snap in there. Once you're good and snapped in, close that and close your lid again. So here's where it's saying, please wait, do not turn the power off until initialization is complete. It takes about 6 minutes. And it does, it takes a couple of minutes. So I'll come back once it's done. So while that's waiting, I thought I would do a quick video of how I have my setup. So this is my printer. In here, I have my 11 by 17 paper in my bottom tray. And then I have my 8.5 by 11 here. This pulls out so that when you're printing, your paper won't just like fall on the floor. Back that up a little bit. There we go, that's much better. And so I always definitely use that. This is how I have my ink stored. Just in case if you guys are like, how the heck am I gonna, store ink? I bought this at TJ Maxx for like, I might still have the price tag on it. Hold on. Totally do. It was $12, which, I mean, isn't bad. It's super cute. And so you need if you're using refillable ink, if you're using refillable ink, you can, you're gonna need these syringes in order to inject the ink back in there. And I just put my little ink bottles right here. And then when I'm ready, I can refill them. So I did buy one of these from Target. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can put my ink in this. And I would not recommend that because the ink leaked out the top of the ink bottles. And I wasted ink, and you can see it stained it a little bit right there. So definitely keep them standing up, which is why I recommend this little doohickey here that I got from TJ Maxx. All right, let's check on our printer. Okay, initialization is complete. So we'll hit OK. Select paper size and type for printer source or paper source. So in this one, I'm going to go ahead and do 8.5 by 11. Okay, cassette 1, paper type, plain paper. I'll leave it as that. And then 2, I'm going to change it to 11 by 17 because that's what I have mine in. Okay. And then we'll just hit, okay. I'm going to close because I don't want to set the fax up. I'll have it remind her later because it's not my printer. If she wants to set the fax up, she can. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and print a nozzle check first. I want to make sure that the ink, that there's no bubbles or air bubbles or anything like that, and that it's all coming through. And then I'm going to print a sample design. All right, so go to your menu screen, and then I'm going to go to Settings, to Maintenance, and then I'm going to print a head nozzle check. And it's going to say load the paper and hit start. Okay, so here's my nozzle check. So what you want to look for is that there are no bubbles in the lines. You can see I have one tiny little bubble there. It looks pretty good overall. I would not do a head cleaning for that one right there. Okay, so now it's asking me, do I want to check the pattern, make sure that it doesn't have any breaks in the lines, and then if it does, hit the X and it'll prompt you to do a head cleaning. And if it is good, which I think ours is pretty good, you'll hit the circle. So I'm gonna. Okay, so one more thing I need to do, oops, wrong one, is I need to hook up my Wi-Fi. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do Wi-Fi Setup Wizard. And I'm going to hook it up to my Wi-Fi. Okay, so enter your password to your Wi-Fi and then hit Start Setup, and it will start connecting to your network. Give it a minute. Okay, so once it's done, it's going to say setup is complete, but then this popped up before I could turn the camera back on. So you don't want to do a firmware update. It will continue to tell you that your ink isn't Sublimation ink, and it'll give you all kinds of issues. So just close it out. All right, Wi-Fi setup is complete. So you can print the check report, or you can just hit OK. All right, so you're all set up there. Okay, so one thing to mention is I went into the kind of like the little printer up top there. So you have your printer status. It says it's ready. It gives you your levels of all of your ink. And then it tells you your job status. You can cancel jobs from here if you want. If you see that your ink is getting low, I would wait until the printer tells you to actually change your ink. Because if you change it now, it's going to be off from the sensors of HP. Or of Epson, because it doesn't really, it kind of goes by what Epson thinks your ink levels should be versus, if you change them halfway through, if they're, halfway full or whatever, and you put more ink in there, it doesn't really register, because sometimes my printer will tell me, hey, you're out of ink, and I still have like a quarter of ink left or something, and it's probably because I got off on filling up my, my ink cartridges. So just one thing to note. Okay, so one more thing I wanted to show you guys was how to put in your paper. So I showed you that this has 2 trays on the bottom. Let me adjust this camera. So I showed you that we have 2 trays here, and we set this one up for 8.5 by 11 paper, and we set this one up for 11 by 17 paper. You can actually extend it. Okay, so this little tab right here, if you pull that will actually extend so that you can put your larger paper in there. It's hard to do this one-handed. There we go. Okay, so it will extend. So you can put your 13 by 19 paper in here or your 11 by 17. I use this one for my 11 by 17 paper. I use this one for my 8.5 by 11. Okay, so where I put my 13 by 19 paper, because I don't do a whole lot of 13 by 19 printing. So I guess it just depends upon what size you're printing. If you do like a lot of blankets and stuff like that, then it might make more sense for you to set up your your second tray as your 13 by 19 one. But I mainly print 8.5 by 11 and 11 by 17 because I do a lot of shirts, and I sublimate drinkware like water bottles and tumblers and things. So for my 13 by 19, I use ASub paper. I used to use ASub paper for my 8.5 by 11 and my 11 by 17. I recently switched to printer jack. Excuse me. They don't have a 13 by 19 that I know of, but I really like the printer jack, so I've been using that for my smaller pieces of sub paper. And I found that the print release on the ink for the printer jack was amazing, so I use that now for my other ones. But ASub is also a really good paper too. I use the 125 gram. With printer jack, it only comes in one. There's no options for that. But with ASub, you can choose. I use the 125 gram. It holds more ink. Some people say that, you know, they get like the boxes on their t-shirts, and I actually address that in my sublimating a shirt tutorial if you want to take a look at that, because there are tricks around that, because this paper is thicker than the printer jack, you know, because it's 125 grams. So anyways, what you're going to do is I have two pieces here. So for the bottom trays on the front of the printer, you want to put those in face down. But for the back of the printer, for the 13 by 19, you see that it says ASub on the back, and then this is the front. This is where you're going to be printing right here. Okay? You want to put this face up. So hold on, it's kind of backwards. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to do it face up. And you want to put it just in the back in those little slots that I showed you. You're going to wait for it to initialize, and then it's going to grab the paper. Once it grabs the paper, you can just kind of let it go. Like I said, I have mine right up there. And so it kind of like the paper kind of just hangs on the wall. Here it's just hanging back, but it's fine. So now it's going to say it's ready to print, and you can either cancel the print and it will feed the paper through, or you can go ahead and print. After a few minutes, if you don't print, it will actually let it go. It'll pull the paper out of the bottom. Okay, so now what you want to do is you want to go to your printer or to your laptop or computer, and you want to print a design. I usually print in Photoshop or Illustrator, and I use a color profile. You will use the color profile from wherever you purchase the ink. So I have COBRA INK. And so COBRA INK actually will email me a color profile. So you just install that. You download the zip file usually, and then you install it. Usually whoever you buy the ink from has their own tutorial on how to install the color profiles. So you install your color profile. Like I said, if you get the 4.3 from COBRA INK, they don't require a profile, and it prints just fine. I have done it without it. It prints just fine. So print your design on Sublimation ink, and then make sure to press it so that you can make sure that the colors are correct. But as far as the setup of the Epson 7720, I mean, that is how you set it up. And like I said, I would probably put it up there, but this is a friend of mine. So if you guys have any questions or anything, just let me know. I am happy to answer them. I try and do as many tutorials as I can. You know, just as questions come in, I'll try and compile them. I do have a couple of other tutorials as well on my YouTube channel if you want to take a look at that. As always, feel free to join my Facebook group, which is Sunshine and Pixels. I make digital designs and sublimation transfers, and I try and answer any questions that you guys have related to sublimation or just any crafting in general. We're just kind of a community of crafters there, so I'd love to see you there. Otherwise, you know, give this video a thumbs up, and make sure to subscribe for whenever I have additional tutorials. And yeah, thanks for joining me. Have a good one. Bye, guys.